Hello there, this is the 13th century schizoid man with another video. Now, we've all heard of Disney princesses locked up in castles, etc. I'm here to dispel a myth, because today we're going to go delve into Nichola de Haye, and she's an absolute madam, I could promise you. She was not the type of person who would get locked up in a tower and stay there and wait till her fate. Yes, she did have her daring, was it the nobleman a knight turn up and save her from her hour in need, but we'll get to that. So let's get stuck in. Now, Nichola was born in 1150. This was before King John, before Richard the Lionheart. This is around the reign of Henry II. In 1169, she had inherited the lands of her father, who was the Lord of Cranville, Lincoln Castle. They were now hers. Of course, when she married, he would take those lands by his sort of marriage right. We're going to find out that Nichola de Haye was not the kind of passive woman that you'd expect to see in the medieval age. Far from it. But Nichola de Haye, aka Cranville, is 19 years old when she becomes the constable of that castle. No mean feat for anybody. And this is a medieval age. You're born, died young. Yeah, she's basically in control of the castle. There's no ifs, no buts. And in this day and age, she's going to have to prove herself in a world of men. I'm not for a second saying there's no patriarchy going on. I'm not for a second saying there's no sexism going on. But this is a woman, 19 years old. It's nowadays, you'll be barely going through your uni years. Back in this day and age, she's effectively the Castellan. Right? By 1189, she's on a second husband. And he's about to inherit all of her estates, because it's still a man's world, don't get me wrong, and all her estates effectively are his, and he gets to be a bully boy. Although we're soon going to find out who wears the shorts in this relationship. It isn't him. Her husband, by the way, is Gerard. So, and is about to be proven to have been a bit of a coward. Yeah, because around the 1190, just the next year after she's got this husband, Henry II dies. This is going to be one of their proving grounds, because Richard the Lionheart gets on the throne. Now, there's a bit of a hoo-ha, a bit of a squabble about who has the castle of Lincoln, because he wants someone more powerful in the role. He wants a man, he wants a knight, he wants one of his men. This is all a part of Henry II's lot. As we know, Henry II and Richard the Lionheart had blows, so they came to actual fighting. So, but we're not going to delve into that right now. Richard wants his own man in the castle. He wants William Longchamp to be the Castellan of Lincoln Castle. So he sends him up to take it. This is going to be the proving ground, the first proving ground for Nichola de Haye, because what happens next will shape her life. First, the actions of her husband speak 1,000 words. The first thing her husband, Gerard, does is flees to the Nottingham and hooks up with Prince John, the John, the one John, and this is the one who's the bad guy in all the movies. So, could you call these the bad guys? Up to you. I'll let you decide on that. But either way, this is where Gerard or Cranville is. He's in Nottingham with Prince John, while the William Longchamp sieges Nichola de Haye in Lincoln Castle. So you can see where this is going. This is going to be an easy win. He's got around 30 knights. He's got 20 men at arms. He's got 300 men. He's even got sappers. So he's in for an easy squash match, if you know what I mean, if you follow with wrestling terms. He's in for an easy win. He doesn't get his easy win, because Nichola de Haye is refusing to move. 3 months this siege is going on for. 3 whole months. And she's refusing to back down. He eventually lifts the siege. And this is, by the way, it gets them excommunicated. Richard the Lionheart has already sacked them by now, hence they're in there, and he's giving them excommunications. They're just ignoring it. So it just proves that even the threat of excommunication back in this day and age was not the threat you think it was. Yeah, it might have been 50 to 100 years ago. Not anymore. But by the time John gets to power, we're talking like the 10-year reign of Richard the Lionheart, over and done with. When John's in power, he just restores all this stuff back to them. And it just proves, even when a woman is sacked by a man, it does not mean she loses her job. It's a bit like nowadays. You tell some of these really powerful, career-driven women that, oh, you're getting the sack. You beat off more than you could chew. This is one of those people. And one day, even the Prince of France, the Dauphin, Louis, he's going to be biting off more than he can chew. And you've also got another, on the subject of sieges, another minor siege by William de Longspee. Another William, another Long, but this is not Longchamp, this is Longspee. This is the chap in Salisbury Cathedral who we see about with the heraldry. It's the and he doesn't do very good against it. She's a siege monster. Right? It's she's just practically lays back, puts the kettle on, have a sip, smashes them, gives them a shoeing. And on the side note, Gerard dies by around 1215, and around the death of her husband, she was in a sort of mid-60s. She was around 65 years old. So she was highly loyal to the throne. He respected her greatly. And this is King John. He wasn't always a bad guy. Now, if you're talking about John, you can't have John without the Sheriff of Nottingham. They're linked together. They're iconic, even if it's just Hollywood. But Philip Mark was the Sheriff of Nottingham in this period of time. So, and he shared the sheriffdom of around the Lincoln area, the Lincolnshire, with Nichola de Haye. So she was also linked not only with John but the Sheriff of Nottingham, Philip Mark. So yeah, I'm sure it's already becoming a Disney movie, isn't it? So this puts us back to the dialogues between John, because when she gets to 66 years old, she handed a notice. She resigns. John does not want any of that. He convinces her to continue, and there's documentation saying or proving that he talked her around to it. She in a mid to late 60s, she's still holding this castle, which makes what happens next more important, because as we know, John dies. He dies of dysentery. He loses the crown, literally and figuratively. Where's Nichola Haye in all of this? Now, she's still in Lincoln Castle. She's up there. And as we know what happens with the Dauphin of France, Louis, he gets invited by the nobles in the First Barons' War to come over and take the throne. Hence, you have the invasion by the French. A legal invasion. It's not that they were allowed to come over. So it's not like they were being scallywags. They get betrayed by the barons, who side with the Henry III and get Henry III on there. So now the French are like, well, we're over here. Great, thank you for that backstab. After being shooed also to the north, Louis decides to siege Lincoln, and there's no husband at this point in time. There is no Gerard de Cranville. There is no one who's going to save her. Right? Nichola de Haye, aka Cranville, has got to hold this castle all by herself against the Prince of France, the Dauphin, and everything he's got to throw against it. And he throws everything against it. The siege lasts for months, and this is where you end up with the nearest you're going to get to locked in a tower, because as you know, with castles you've got the keep, you've got the wall, and you've got like an outer wall, and it's the Lincoln Castle. The outer wall was breached. You've got Louis smashing his forces against these walls. He breaches them. He gets to the second part, so he's nearly at the keep. You've got Nichola de Haye trapped in this tower, fighting every tooth and nail for this. And of course, this is where you end up with, is she going to win? She could have easily done it by herself, but this is the only time you're really going to get a medieval woman getting saved by her knight. This is not a damsel. You've got damsel in distress, damsel in that dress, damsel in all kinds of dresses. She's She's no damsel in distress. She's holding out against these French who are refusing to lose. She's also refusing to lose. Now, William Marshall, meanwhile, is got an army. He's about 70. These are her generation of people, and he's in his full chain. Now first thing he does is besieges Lincoln Castle. Why is he besieging Lincoln Castle? Because you've got Nichola here, you've got the French surrounding her. You've now got, but they're within the middle walls. You've now got William Marshall sieging the outer walls. French pig in the middle. Well, you can't make it up. And she holds out until then, and only when Marshall has utterly defeated them. Well, he couldn't have utterly defeated them if it wasn't for Nichola de la Haye. She could easily have lost, and she could have easily have got the French holding it from the middle. They would have held out for a long time, possibly getting allies from the continent. So Nichola de la Haye has already changed the course of English history, because if the French would have won that battle, they could have smashed down and defeated the easily defeatable 9-year-old boy who was the King of England. We could have had a French throne. So Nichola de la Haye is most certainly going to be up on that. Now, so this is why I say that the people in the who write the movies really need to do their research. They really need to look into it, see what women were really like. She is more like Catelyn Stark from Game of Thrones than any Rapunzel. Although Catelyn Stark's finest hour was missing from the series, because the Mountain sieges her, and she's up in the keep with the marshes all around, totally defeating the Mountain. And so I wish they kept that in the movie, in a series. But Nichola de la Haye, as I said, was far more like that. She's a formidable woman in her own right. Now, and finally, in 1226, she does die of old age. Now, making her in her late 70s. Again, she had a very, very, very long life at that period in time. She dies in the reign of Henry III. Again, so we don't know whether she died peacefully. We don't know whether she died of any other illnesses. But all we know is that history left behind an absolutely formidable woman, and her enemies will know her was a right piece of work. But we are not those enemies. So there we have it. The brief history of a very powerful and independent woman who was a siege master, held out in numerous sieges, in a day and age where you're told women were weak and passive. I'm sorry, but William Longsby, William Longchamp, and Louis the Dauphin of France, the future King of France, have just found out how independent a woman can be in the 13th century. Absolutely no doubt about it. She was formidable, and I personally would not like to go against her. What was she like in person? We don't know. We only have a correspondence with King John and a few other historical things she's done. So we don't know about her personality. These things don't talk about personality. But we knew she was strong. She must have been strong, because in that day and age, you couldn't just sit down there and take it. You had to fight for everything. And even nobility had to fight for everything. She was sacked, she no-sold it. She was excommunicated, didn't care. And if that isn't powerful, I don't know what is. So there we have it. And that's the end of another video. And so catch you again next time. And remember, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Over and out.